All right, so to check our quadratic formula solver, our quadratic equation solver, our quadratic formula project, let's look at how we can use input validation loops. So notice we've still got our scanner, we've still got introductory text. That's not really going to affect how we're doing this here. And then we want to get the values from the user. And notice we have our input validation loop for A. And this looks almost exactly like what I did in the example using just a regular number. So A is nan, ask for A, try to get A. If there was an error, tell us there was an error, get the next line so that we clear out the scanner, and repeat that as long as A is not a number. Then we do the exact same thing for B, and then we do the exact same thing for C. Now, we are doing the exact same, almost exact same code 3 times, so this might kind of set off a bell and whistle, hey, maybe I should put this in a loop. If you can work that out and you have a loop here and it's working, great. If not, that's fine too. We're going to kind of clean this up a little bit in a future challenge and see if we can make this any better later. But then we print out a blank line, print out the values we got, print out another blank line, and then it's the same code as before. So the only real new code here is this block from line 49 down to about line 80. So about 30 lines of code, which is pretty substantial because this used to be 3 lines of code, but now we don't get crashes from these lines of code. So 3 lines of code that could possibly crash our program versus 30 lines of code, and our program is now much safer from a crash. So that's kind of a trade-off here, is that the simpler code might be easier to write, might be easier to read, but it may not run as effectively because it doesn't handle every possibility. Whereas slightly more complex code can save you that headache of, oh no, I don't know why my code is crashing. But this is the same code that we ran in the demo, and you can see that it works for kind of all 3 cases. That'll fail, it'll ask me again. That'll fail, it'll ask me again. And that'll fail, it'll ask me again. And it'll still print the values like I would expect. If you didn't do as well with this challenge, don't worry about it. It was more complicated because it did require a couple of things we hadn't seen before, like the nan and the try catch. If you have these in your project now, because we're still going to be building on this later, you should still be fine. As long as you have it, we shouldn't be seeing anything that we haven't seen before going forward. And we'll try to keep from having to introduce these one-offs like the try catch and the nan in future challenges. This was just kind of we had to do it because this is the way to deal with next double erroring out. But we got a couple more videos on loops, I think, and then we will be good to wrap up our discussion on repetition.